Traded to the Alpha King, a Werewolf Shifter romance audiobook by Dora's Romance Audiobooks. Prologue. The trade, Elara. They say a wolf's worth is measured in what they can give the pack. I had nothing left to give. I stood in Alpha Garrett's office, my hands trembling as I stared at the document on his desk. A trade agreement. My name printed in cold, official letters, next to a price that made me want to vomit. "It's for the best, Elara," Garrett said, not even having the decency to look at me. My mate, the man who'd promised me forever 3 years ago, was selling me like livestock. "You can't give me an heir. You can't fulfill your duty as Luna. What did you expect me to do?" "I expected you to love me anyway," I whispered, my voice breaking. He finally looked up, his gray eyes cold. "Love doesn't run a pack. Bloodlines do. Legacy does. And you're barren, Elara. 3 years of trying. 3 years of failure. I need a Luna who can give me strong pups, who can continue my line. You're useless to me." Each word was a knife to the heart. The mate bond we'd formed 3 years ago, one I'd thought was real, thought was forever, felt like a noose around my neck now. "The Alpha King has agreed to take you off my hands," Garrett continued, sliding the document toward me. "He needs servants for his household. You'll have a roof over your head, food to eat. It's more than you deserve, considering you can't even perform a she-wolf's most basic function." "You're trading me to the Alpha King as a servant?" Horror washed over me. "Garrett, please. We can try other healers, other treatments. I already have." He stood, his tone final. "I found my new Luna. Rebecca from the Nightshade Pack. She's young, fertile, and everything you're not. The rejection ceremony is tomorrow. Sign the papers, Elara. Accept your fate with whatever dignity you have left." I looked down at the document through tears. The Alpha King, Theron Ashbourne, the most powerful wolf in all the territories. Cold, ruthless, and known for his harsh treatment of those who failed him. I'd be going from Luna to servant, from cherished mate to discarded trash. But I had no choice. A she-wolf without a pack was as good as dead. My hand shook as I signed my name. "Good," Garrett said, as if he'd just completed a successful business transaction. "The Alpha King's men will collect you tomorrow after the rejection. Pack light, servants don't need much." That night, I stood in the room that had been mine for 3 years, the Luna's quarters I decorated with such hope and love, and I let myself break. I sobbed until there were no tears left, until my wolf was whimpering with pain and shame. "We're not broken," my wolf insisted weakly. "Just because we can't have pups doesn't mean we're worthless." But the pack had made it clear. A Luna who couldn't produce heirs was worse than no Luna at all. I'd overheard the whispers for months. Defective, barren. What kind of she-wolf can't conceive? Maybe the moon goddess made a mistake with her. The rejection ceremony was quick and cold. Garrett barely looked at me as he spoke the words that severed our bond. "I, Garrett Thorne, Alpha of the Crescent Moon Pack, reject you, Elara Winters, as my mate and Luna." The pain was excruciating, like having my heart ripped out through my chest, but I forced myself to stand tall, to meet his eyes as I spoke my response. "I, Elara Winters, accept your rejection." The bond shattered. Around us, the pack watched in silence. Some faces held pity, others satisfaction. Rebecca stood at Garrett's side, her hand already possessively on his arm, her belly not yet showing, but her victory complete. And then they came, 2 massive warriors in black, the Alpha King's insignia on their armor. They didn't speak to me, didn't acknowledge me as anything more than cargo. One of them handed Garrett a bag of gold coins, the price of a barren she-wolf. "Come," the warrior said curtly, gesturing for me to follow. I took one last look at the pack I'd called home, at the wolves who'd witnessed my humiliation, at Garrett who'd already turned his back on me. Then I walked away from everything I'd ever known. The journey to the capital took 3 days. The warriors didn't speak to me, didn't tell me what to expect. I was just cargo, being delivered to the Alpha King's household. When we finally arrived at the palace, I understood why they called Theron Ashbourne the Alpha King. His territory was a fortress, high walls, armed guards everywhere, and a palace that looked more like a war compound than a home. "The new servant," one warrior announced as we entered through the servants' entrance. A stern woman with silver hair and sharp eyes looked me over with obvious disappointment. "Scrawny thing, isn't she?" the woman, head housekeeper Mara, said. "And you're sure she's Wolf? She doesn't look strong enough to handle palace work." "She's Wolf," the warrior confirmed. "The Alpha King wants her placed in household service. She's to have no contact with pack members or visiting dignitaries. Servants' quarters only?" Humiliation burned through me. I wasn't even worthy of being seen by the Alpha King himself. Mara sighed. "Fine. Come with me, girl. I'll show you to your room and explain your duties. And understand this. The Alpha King demands perfection. One mistake, one moment of laziness, and you're out. Understood?" "Understood," I whispered. She led me through a maze of corridors to the servants' wing, a stark contrast to the luxury I'd glimpsed of the palace proper. My room was tiny, barely large enough for a cot and a small trunk. "You'll start in the kitchens tomorrow at dawn," Mara said. "Keep your head down, your mouth shut, and maybe you'll survive here. The Alpha King isn't kind to failures." After she left, I collapsed on the cot and stared at the ceiling. This was my life now. Barren. Rejected. Traded away like I was nothing. But as I lay there in the darkness, my wolf stirred. "We survived," she whispered. "We're still here. That has to count for something." I wanted to believe her. I wanted to think that maybe, somehow, there was still purpose in this life. I had no idea that everything was about to change, because the Alpha King had been watching, and he had plans for me that would turn my entire world upside down. Chapter 1. The Alpha King Elara dawn came too early. I jolted awake to Mara's sharp knock, my body aching from crying myself to sleep. The servant's uniform she'd left hung on a hook, plain gray, shapeless, designed to make me invisible. Perfect. The kitchen was chaos when I arrived, dozens of servants rushing to prepare breakfast for the Alpha King and his court. I was assigned to vegetable prep, the lowest task, and I threw myself into it gratefully. Keeping busy meant not thinking, not feeling. "Did you hear?" a young servant named Iris whispered beside me as we chopped carrots. "The Alpha King is in a rage this morning. His beta says he's been impossible for weeks." "Why?" I asked, grateful for any distraction from my thoughts. "No one knows. But he's going through servants like water. 3 were dismissed just yesterday for minor infractions." She leaned closer. "They say he's cursed, that he can't find his true mate, and it's driving him mad." I said nothing, focusing on my work. The Alpha King's problems were none of my concern. I was just trying to survive, one day at a time. "All servants to the main hall," Mara's voice cut through the kitchen bustle. "The Alpha King wishes to address the new staff members." My stomach dropped. I'd hoped to remain invisible, to fade into the background. But apparently that wasn't to be. We filed into the main hall, massive and intimidating, with soaring ceilings and weapons displayed on every wall. At the far end, on a throne-like chair, sat the Alpha King, Theron Ashbourne. I'd never seen him before, only heard stories. None of them did him justice. He was massive, easily 6.5 feet of pure muscle and dominance. Dark hair touched with silver at the temples, sharp features that looked carved from granite, and eyes. His eyes were the color of storm clouds, cold and assessing, and missing nothing. Power rolled off him in waves. This wasn't just an alpha. This was an apex predator. A wolf so dominant that every instinct I had screamed to submit. I dropped my gaze immediately, keeping my head bowed like the other servants. "I see we have new additions to the household staff." His voice was deep, commanding, with an edge that made my wolf whimper. "You will learn quickly that I demand perfection. Failure is not tolerated. Laziness is not tolerated. Disrespect is not tolerated. Serve well and you will be rewarded. Disappoint me and you will be dismissed. Are we clear? Yes, Alpha King, we chorused. Good. Back to your duties. We turned to leave, and I thought I'd escaped notice. But then, wait. Everyone froze. The Alpha King was standing now, his gaze fixed on something. Someone in our group. On me. You, he said, his voice strange. The new girl. Step forward. My heart hammered as I moved forward on shaking legs, keeping my eyes down. What had I done wrong already? Look at me. It wasn't a request. I lifted my gaze slowly, and the moment our eyes met, the world stopped. The scent hit me first, pine and winter storms, with something dark and intoxicating underneath. Then the pull, like an invisible rope wrapping around my heart, yanking me toward him with magnetic force. No, not again. Not this. But my wolf was howling in recognition, throwing herself against my mental walls. Mate. Mate. He's our mate. I saw the same recognition flash through the Alpha King's eyes. They widened fractionally, his nostrils flaring as he scented me. The mate bond was forming, snapping into place with devastating certainty. But then his expression hardened into something cold and cruel. Who sold you? He demanded. My former mate, Alpha Garrett Thorne. My voice was barely a whisper. And why did he sell you? Each word was clipped, sharp. I wanted to lie, to spare myself this humiliation. But you couldn't lie to an alpha, especially not one as powerful as Theron Ashbourne. Because I'm barren, I said, the words like ash in my mouth. I couldn't give him an heir, so he rejected me and traded me here. Silence fell across the hall. Every servant was staring now, and I wanted to die from shame. The Alpha King's jaw clenched so tight I heard his teeth grind. Everyone out, now, except you. The servants fled. Even Mara scurried away, leaving me alone with the most powerful alpha in the territories, and a mate bond that was forming despite my broken body. When we were alone, Theron descended from his throne, moving with the lethal grace of a predator. He circled me slowly, and I felt his gaze like a physical touch. You're my mate, he said flatly. It wasn't a question. Yes, there was no point denying it. And you're infertile. The word was a slap. Yes. He stopped in front of me, close enough that his scent overwhelmed my senses. Do you know what I need from a mate, Elara? The use of my name startled me. An heir, I whispered, to secure your bloodline. Exactly. His voice was cold, emotionless. I'm the Alpha King. I need a Luna who can give me strong pups, who can continue my legacy. And you? He stepped even closer, and I saw something flash through his eyes. Pain? Anger? You're everything I want, and nothing I can have. Tears burned behind my eyes. I'm sorry. Sorry? He laughed, but there was no humor in it. You think sorry changes anything? The moon goddess gives me a mate, finally, after 35 years of searching, and she's damaged goods. It's almost funny. The words cut deeper than Garrett's ever had, because this was my true mate, the one chosen by the moon goddess herself, and he was looking at me like I was worthless. I should reject you, he said, his voice rough. Send you away, find another who can give me what I need. Then do it, I said, finding some core of strength I didn't know I had. I've been rejected before, Alpha King. I'll survive it again. His hand shot out, gripping my chin and forcing me to meet his eyes. Will you? Because I can feel this bond forming, Elara. I can feel it wrapping around my heart like iron chains. And something tells me that rejecting you would destroy us both. Then what do you want from me? He stared at me for a long moment, war raging in those storm-gray eyes. Finally, I don't know, but until I figure it out, you're staying here. Not as a servant, I won't have my mate scrubbing floors. You'll move to the guest wing, have appropriate clothing, access to the palace. But you will not be introduced as my mate. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Do you understand? It was a half-life. Better than being a servant, but still hidden away like a shameful secret. But it was also survival. And right now, that was all I could ask for. I understand, I said. Good. He released me, stepping back. Mara will show you to your new quarters. We'll figure out the rest later. He turned to leave, but I couldn't let him go without saying it. For what it's worth, Alpha King, I'm sorry I'm not what you need. He paused at the door, his back to me. And I'm sorry I'm too much of a coward to reject you, even though keeping you will only bring us both pain. Then he was gone, leaving me alone with a new mate, bond I never wanted, and a future more uncertain than ever. My wolf was crying. He doesn't want us. Our own true mate doesn't want us. I sank to the floor, wrapping my arms around myself. 2 rejections in as many weeks. How was I supposed to survive this? But even as despair threatened to drown me, I felt something else through the mate bond. Something the Alpha King probably didn't mean to broadcast. Longing. Desperate, aching longing. He wanted me, even as he denied it. The bond was torturing him just as much as it was torturing me. Small comfort, but comfort nonetheless. I was the Alpha King's unwanted mate, but I was also a survivor. And somehow, some way, I would find a way to turn this disaster into something worth living for. Chapter 2. Unexpected Kindness. Elara. The guest quarters were nothing like my servant's room. Mara led me to a suite that was larger than the entire Luna's quarters back at Crescent Moon. Plush carpets, a bed that could fit 4 people, windows overlooking the royal gardens. It was beautiful and lonely in equal measure. The Alpha King has instructed me to provide you with appropriate clothing, Mara said, her tone considerably more respectful than before. He's also assigned you a personal guard for your protection. Protection from what? From wolves who might notice the Alpha King's particular interest in you and draw conclusions. She fixed me with a sharp look. You're not to tell anyone about the mate bond. Is that clear? Crystal clear. After she left, I explored my new prison. Because that's what it was, really. A gilded cage. Better than scrubbing floors, but still trapped. I spent the day alone, which gave me too much time to think. About Garrett and his cruelty. About the Alpha King and his cold assessment of my worth. About the mate bond that was slowly, painfully forming despite both our wishes. As evening fell, a knock sounded at my door. I opened it to find a young woman with kind eyes and dark braids. "Hello?" she said warmly. "I'm Lissa, the Alpha King's sister. May I come in?" The Alpha King had a sister. No one had mentioned that. "Of course, Princess," I said, stepping aside. "Oh, please, just Lissa." She swept in, looking around with approval. "Theron put you in the Moonlight Suite. Interesting choice. This is usually reserved for visiting dignitaries." Her eyes sparkled with curiosity. "You must be someone special." "I'm no one," I said automatically. "My brother doesn't assign personal guards to no one." She settled onto the sofa, patting the spot beside her. "Come, sit. Tell me your story. And don't leave anything out. I'm excellent at detecting lies." There was something about her, a genuine warmth that made me want to trust her. So I told her everything. Garrett's rejection, being traded as a servant, the mate bond with Theron that we couldn't act on. When I finished, Lissa's eyes were blazing with fury. "That bastard!" she hissed. "Not you, Garrett, and those pack wolves who made you feel worthless for something beyond your control. You know infertility is often temporary, right? Stress, trauma, even pack dynamics can affect it. Just because you couldn't conceive with that ass doesn't mean you never will." Hope flickered, fragile and painful. "The healers said the healers can be wrong." She squeezed my hand. "But even if they're not, even if you truly can't have pups, that doesn't define your worth. You're a person, Elara. A wolf with value beyond your womb." Tears streamed down my face. I'd needed to hear that so badly, for so long. "Thank you," I whispered. "Don't thank me yet. Thank me after I talk some sense into my stubborn brother." She stood, determination in every line of her body. "Theron's been looking for his mate for 15 years. He's going to be an idiot about this. He always is when emotions are involved. But he's also the best male I know, underneath all that ice. Give him time, he'll come around." After she left, I felt lighter than I had in months. Maybe Lisa was right. Maybe there was hope. That night, I was sitting in the gardens, my guard at a discreet distance, when I heard footsteps. The Alpha King emerged from the shadows, and my heart stuttered. "You shouldn't be out here alone," he said gruffly. "I have a guard." Still, he stood awkwardly like he wasn't sure what to do with himself. "May I sit?" The question surprised me. An Alpha King asking permission? "It's your palace. But it's your space. I won't intrude if you'd rather be alone." I studied him in the moonlight. Up close, away from the throne room and his court, he looked tired, worn down by the weight he carried. "You can sit," I said softly. He did, maintaining a careful distance between us. For a long moment we sat in silence, and I felt the mate bond humming, trying to pull us together. "My sister visited you," he said finally. "She did. She's kind. She's meddlesome." But there was affection in his voice. "She told me I'm being an idiot. Are you?" He turned to look at me, and the intensity in his gaze stole my breath. "Probably. But Elara, you have to understand. I've been Alpha King since I was 22. 13 years of ruling, of making impossible decisions, of putting the kingdom before everything else, including my own happiness. Is that what I am? Happiness you can't afford?" "You're everything I ever wanted," he said roughly. "The moment I saw you, the moment I caught your scent, my wolf recognized you. Mine," he said. "Finally, after all these years. Mine. But I need an heir. The bloodline can't end with me. The kingdom needs stability, needs to know there's a future. And you," he trailed off, "can't give you that." I forced myself to say it without crying. "I know." "The thing is," he continued, his voice dropping, "my wolf doesn't care. He wants you anyway. And the more time I spend near you, the more I'm starting to agree with him." My heart raced. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I don't know what to do. I'm saying that rejecting you feels impossible, but keeping you seems irresponsible. I'm saying that for the first time in my life, I don't have an answer." He stood abruptly. "I should go. Before I do something we'll both regret." "Like what?" He looked down at me, and the hunger in his eyes made my wolf whimper. "Like kiss you and forget every reason why I shouldn't." Then he was gone, disappearing into the shadows, leaving me alone with a mate bond that was growing stronger by the hour. Chapter 3, and a hope I was the healing Elara. A week passed in strange limbo. I saw Theron. I couldn't think of him as just the Alpha King anymore, every day. Sometimes in passing, sometimes in the gardens at night. We talked about meaningless things, the weather, palace gossip, anything but the mate bond burning between us. But I also noticed things, small kindnesses he probably thought I didn't see. The books that appeared in my room, all my favorite genres. The special teas that helped with my chronic pain from the broken mate bond with Garrett. The instructions to Mara that I be invited to all pack gatherings, even if I attended anonymously. He was courting me, in his own careful way, even as he denied the bond. "You need to see the royal healer," Lissa announced one morning, barging into my room without knocking. "And before you argue, Theron's orders. Why? Because my brother is thorough. If there's any chance your infertility is treatable, he wants to know." Hope and fear warred in my chest. What if it's not? What if it's permanent? Then we deal with it. She linked her arm through mine. "But let's find out for sure first, shall we?" The royal healer was a wizened old wolf named Cordelia, with eyes that seemed to see straight through me, Lie down, child, she instructed, gesturing to the examination table. This won't hurt, but it will feel strange. She placed her hands on my abdomen, and I felt warmth spreading through me, healing magic, old and powerful. Her eyes closed in concentration. After several minutes, she opened them and smiled. Well? Lissa demanded. She's not infertile, Cordelia said simply. The world tilted. What? You're not infertile. Never have been. What you have is a stress-induced blockage, very common in wolves trapped in unhappy or abusive situations. Your body was protecting you from bringing pups into a toxic environment. She helped me sit up. Now that you're free of that situation, away from the wolf who caused you such pain, your body is already beginning to heal. I'd say within 3 to 6 months, you'll be fully fertile again. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. All those years of shame, of being told I was broken and worthless. And it was a lie. Garrett's cruelty had literally made me unable to conceive, and then he'd rejected me for it. Are you sure? I whispered. Completely sure. In fact, Cordelia smiled wider, you're showing early signs of entering a heat cycle. Your first one in years, I'd wager. The mate bond with the Alpha King is healing you faster than I expected. Lissa whooped with joy, pulling me into a hug. I told you. Oh, wait until Theron hears. No, I pulled away, panic rising. You can't tell him. Why not? This changes everything. Because I don't want him to want me just because I can give him an heir now. The words came out fierce, determined. I want him to choose me because I'm his mate. Because of who I am, not what my womb can do. Understanding dawned in Lysa's eyes. You're testing him. I'm protecting myself, I corrected. If he rejects me thinking I'm barren, then I know he doesn't truly want me. And if he chooses me despite believing I can't have pups, then maybe we have a chance. Cordelia nodded approvingly. Wise child. The Alpha King needs to learn that mates are more than breeding stock. Though I should warn you, keeping this secret will be difficult, especially when your heat cycle hits. My face heated. How long do I have? A week, maybe less. The mate bond is accelerating everything. She fixed me with a serious look. You'll need to be far away from the Alpha King when it happens. A mated male sensing his mate in heat, especially one who's been denying the bond, will lose all control. I'll figure something out, I promised. But as we left the healing wing, I felt the mate bond pulse, and I knew Theron had sensed something. Something had changed, and his wolf would know. I just had to keep my secret for 1 more week. Then I'd know if the Alpha King could love me for me. Chapter 4. The heat, Elara. I felt it coming like a storm on the horizon. My skin felt too tight, too hot. Every scent was overwhelming, but one scent in particular, pine and winter storms, called to me like a siren song. My wolf was restless, pacing, demanding I go to our mate. The heat cycle was starting. You need to leave the palace, Lissa said urgently, helping me pack a bag. There's a safe house 3 miles into the forest. Cordelia will go with you, help manage the symptoms. But Elara, you have to go now, before Theron senses it. Too late. The door burst open and the Alpha King stood there, his eyes wild and pure, wolf silver. What's wrong? He demanded. I felt... He inhaled, and his entire body went rigid. Oh, gods, you're going into heat. I'm leaving, I said, trying to sound calm despite my racing heart. I'll be gone for a few days. You won't even know. Like hell you're leaving. He moved with supernatural speed, blocking the door. You think I'd let my mate go through a heat cycle alone, unprotected? Do you have any idea how dangerous that is? I'll have Cordelia. I don't care if you have an army. His voice dropped to a possessive growl. You're mine, Elara. Mine to protect. Mine to care for. And you're sure as hell not going through this without me. Theron, Lissa said carefully. maybe you should think about... Get out! It wasn't a request. Lissa squeezed my hand once, then fled. Cordelia hesitated. I'll prepare the guest room for heat cycle management, the healer said, and I'll be right outside if you need me. Then we were alone. Theron crossed to me slowly, his movements predatory. Why didn't you tell me? Tell you what? That you're fertile. I can smell it now. Your body's healed, hasn't it? You can have pups. His voice was rough, accusing. Were you going to tell me? Or were you just going to let me keep believing you were barren? Tears stung my eyes. I wanted to know if you'd choose me anyway. If I was worth keeping, even if I couldn't give you an heir. Something cracked in his expression. Elara, answer me honestly, I demanded, my heat making me bold. If I really was permanently infertile, would you want me? Or would you reject me and find someone who could give you what you need? He stared at me for a long moment, and I saw the war raging in his storm-gray eyes. Alpha duty versus mate bond. Legacy versus love. I don't know, he finally admitted, his voice breaking. I don't know if I'm strong enough to choose you over my kingdom. And that makes me the worst kind of coward. The honesty hurt worse than any lie. Then you should go, I said, even as my wolf howled in protest. I'll manage this heat alone. And when it's over, maybe we should discuss a rejection. A real one this time. No. The word was absolute, final. He closed the distance between us, cupping my face with trembling hands. I'm not leaving you, and I'm not rejecting you. Not now. Not ever. But you just said... I said I don't know if I'm strong enough to choose you over duty, but I do know that losing you would destroy me. His thumb brushed across my lower lip, and I shuddered. These past weeks, getting to know you, watching you heal and grow stronger, you're everything I never knew I needed. Kind and brave and so damn beautiful it hurts to look at you. Theron, let me finish. His voice was fierce now. Yes, I need an heir. Yes, the kingdom needs stability. But you know what the kingdom needs more? A Luna who's genuinely good, who cares about people, who leads with her heart. And that's you, Elara. It's always been you. The heat was making everything more intense. His scent, his touch, the bond pulling us together. What are you saying? I'm saying that even when I thought you were barren, I couldn't let you go. I'm saying I've been falling for you since the moment you looked at me with those forest green eyes and didn't cower. I'm saying... He leaned his forehead against mine. I'm saying I choose you. Pups or no pups. Heir or no heir. I choose you. My heart soared, even as tears streamed down my face. You mean it? With everything I am. His lips brushed mine, gentle despite the need I could feel thrumming through him. Be my Luna, Elara. Not because you can give me an heir, though that's a bonus I'm definitely grateful for, but because you're my mate. My perfect, beautiful, strong mate. Say yes. Yes, I breathed. Always yes. He kissed me then. Really kissed me. And the world caught fire. The mate bond exploded between us, fully formed and blazing bright. My heat cycle roared to life, and his answering growl was pure, possessive male. I need to mark you, he said against my lips. Need everyone to know you're mine. Can I? Please. He swept me into his arms, carrying me to the bed. What happened next was a blur of heat and passion, of marking bites and desperate claims. The mate bond sealed fully, binding our souls together in a way that felt inevitable and right. When we finally lay tangled together, both marked and mated, Theron pulled me close and pressed a kiss to my temple. I'm sorry, he whispered, for making you doubt, for being afraid, for not choosing you immediately. You chose me when it mattered, I said, tracing the mark I'd left on his neck. My claim on him, that's what counts. I love you, he said, the words fierce and true, and I'm going to spend the rest of our lives proving it. I love you, too, I kissed him softly. My Alpha King. Just Theron, he corrected. When it's just us, I'm just Theron. Your mate. Outside, I heard Lissa's voice. Is it safe to come in yet, or are you too still? Go away, Theron shouted, laughing. Fine, but you owe me a wedding, a big one. We looked at each other and smiled. Because yes, there would be a wedding, and a Luna ceremony, and eventually, moon goddess willing, pups. But more than that, there would be love. Real, true, fated love. I'd been traded away as damaged goods, told I was worthless. But the Alpha King had seen my worth, had chosen me anyway, and that made all the difference. Chapter 5. The Ceremony. Elara. 3 months later, I stood in the royal chambers, staring at my reflection. The Luna ceremony was today. In a few hours, I'd stand before the entire kingdom and be formally recognized as Theron's mate and their Luna. The dress was breathtaking, silver silk that flowed like water, with intricate embroidery of wolves and moons. My hair was swept up in an elegant style, woven through with white flowers. I looked like a queen. I felt like an imposter. Stop that, Lissa said, appearing behind me in the mirror. She looked stunning in her ceremonial robes as the Alpha King's sister. I can practically hear your self-doubt from across the room. What if they don't accept me? I whispered. What if they think I'm not good enough to be their Luna? Then they're idiots. She squeezed my shoulders. Elara, you've spent the last 3 months working with the healers, organizing aid for struggling packs, mediating disputes with patience and wisdom. The people already love you. This ceremony is just making it official. But they don't know about my past, about being traded as a servant. They know you were undervalued by your former pack, and that Theron was smart enough to see your true worth. Lissa turned me to face her, and honestly, the fact that you've overcome so much only makes you more relatable. You're not some privileged princess who's never known hardship. You're a survivor. That's exactly the kind of Luna this kingdom needs. A knock interrupted us. Theron entered, looking magnificent in his ceremonial armor, black leather and silver, with his crown already in place. But his eyes were only for me. You look breathtaking, he said, his voice rough with emotion. You're not supposed to see me before the ceremony, I protested weakly. I'm the Alpha King. I make the rules. He crossed to me, taking my hands in his. I needed to see you, to make sure you're okay. I can feel your nervousness through the bond. I'm terrified, I admitted. Good. That means you care. He pressed a kiss to my forehead. But Elara, you have nothing to fear. The kingdom is going to love you as much as I do. And even if they didn't, which they will, you'd still be my Luna, my mate, my everything. That doesn't change. What if I mess up? What if I'm not? You'll be perfect because you're you. His thumb traced my jaw. I chose you. Not because you can give me an heir, not because of politics or duty. I chose you because you're kind and brave, and you make me want to be a better male. That's what makes a true Luna. Tears threatened to ruin my careful makeup. I love you. I love you too. Now come on. We have a kingdom to address. The throne room was packed. Every major alpha from the surrounding territories, representatives from dozens of packs, nobles and dignitaries from across the realm, all of them here to witness my acceptance as Luna. As Theron led me down the aisle, I felt hundreds of eyes on me, some curious, some approving, some skeptical. And there, in the back, I saw him. Garrett. My former mate stood with the Crescent Moon delegation, Rebecca at his side, her belly swollen with pregnancy. His eyes met mine, and I saw shock, then anger, then something that looked like regret. I lifted my chin and looked away. He no longer had any power over me. The High Elder stood at the front, ancient and imposing. We gather today to recognize the mate bond between Alpha King Theron Ashbourne and Elara Winters. But more than that, we gather to welcome a new Luna to our kingdom. Theron, do you claim this woman as your mate? And Luna? I do. Theron's voice rang out clear and strong. Before the moon goddess and this assembly, I claim Elara as my fated mate, my chosen Luna, and the future of this kingdom. And Elara? The High Elder turned to me. Do you accept this claim? Do you pledge to stand as Luna, to serve this kingdom with wisdom and compassion, to uphold the laws and protect the people? This was it. The moment everything changed forever. I thought about the girl I'd been 3 months ago, broken, ashamed, told she was worthless. And I thought about the woman I'd become, healed, loved, valued. I do, I said firmly. I accept Theron as my mate and Alpha King, and I pledge to serve this kingdom with everything I am, to protect its people and honor the trust they place in me. This I swear. The High Elder smiled. Then, by the power vested in me by the Moon Goddess and the Council of Alphas, I recognize Elara Winters as Luna of the Northern Kingdom. May her reign be long and prosperous. He placed the Luna's crown on my head, silver and moonstone, lighter than I expected, but heavy with meaning. The throne room erupted in applause and howls. Through the mate bond, I felt Theron's pride and love pouring into me, giving me strength. My Luna, he said, pulling me close. My perfect mate. My Alpha King, I replied, smiling up at him. The celebration lasted well into the night. Pack after pack came to congratulate us, to offer their loyalty, to welcome me as their Luna. Even some of the skeptical faces softened as they spoke with me, seeing that I genuinely cared about their concerns. As midnight approached, Garrett appeared before us. Rebecca was notably absent. Alpha King, he said stiffly, bowing. Luna. The title seemed to choke him. Alpha Garrett, Theron responded coldly. What brings you to my throne? I came to apologize. Garrett's eyes met mine reluctantly. Elara, I was wrong. About everything. You deserved better than how I treated you. Yes, I did, I said calmly. No anger, no bitterness, just simple truth. I see that now, and I see that the Alpha King values what I was too blind to appreciate. He hesitated. For what it's worth, I'm glad you found happiness. You deserve it. It wasn't much, but it was something. Thank you, I said. I hope you find peace with your choices, Garrett. I have. After he left, Theron pulled me onto his lap, uncaring of the watching crowd. You're amazing, you know that? The way you handled him. Gracious but strong. That's what a true Luna looks like. I learned from the best, I teased, kissing his jaw. Flatterer. But he was smiling. Ready to escape this party and celebrate privately? Heat flooded through me. Absolutely. We slipped away from the celebration, Theron leading me through secret passages to our private chambers. The rooms that were now officially ours, the Alpha King and Luna's suite. As soon as the door closed behind us, he had me pressed against it, kissing me with barely restrained passion. My Luna, he growled against my neck. Mine. Yours, I agreed breathlessly. Always yours. What happened next was a perfect claiming, passionate and tender, marking and being marked, losing ourselves in each other and the mate bond that burned between us. Later, as we lay tangled together, Theron's hand drifted to my stomach. Cordelia confirmed it this morning, he said softly. You're pregnant. My breath caught. What? About 6 weeks along. She wanted to wait until after the ceremony to tell you, didn't want to add to your stress. His eyes met mine, full of wonder and love. We're having a pup, Elara. Tears streamed down my face, happy tears this time. Really? Really. He pressed a kiss to my belly, reverent and gentle. Our pup. Proof that you were never broken, never worthless. Proof that the moon goddess knew exactly what she was doing when she made you my mate. I pulled him up to kiss him properly. I love you. So much. I love you too. He cradled my face. And I promise, I will spend every day of our lives making sure you never doubt your worth again. You're my Luna, my mate, my everything. And now you're the mother of my child. I'm the luckiest wolf in the kingdom. We're both lucky, I corrected. Lucky that fate brought us together. Lucky that you saw past what others thought were flaws. Lucky that we get to build a future together. To our future, he said, kissing me softly. To our future, I echoed. Outside our windows, the full moon shone bright, and I swore I felt the moon goddess smiling down on us. On the Luna, who'd been traded away as damaged goods, and the Alpha King, who'd seen her true value. This was just the beginning of our story, and it was going to be beautiful. Chapter 6. The Visitor, Elara. 6 months into my pregnancy, and I glowed. That's what everyone said anyway. Theron certainly seemed to think so. He was constantly touching my rounded belly, talking to our pup, being impossibly overprotective about everything. You need to rest, he insisted for the 3rd time that morning as I reviewed trade agreements in our chambers. I'm pregnant, not dying. I signed another document. The kingdom doesn't stop running just because I'm carrying your pup. Our pup, he corrected automatically. And yes, it does. That's what advisors are for. Theron Ashbourne, if you try to sideline me from my duties one more time, you'll what? He grinned, pulling me into his lap carefully. Waddle after me angrily? You know that just makes you more adorable, right? I swatted his shoulder, but I was smiling. These past months had been the happiest of my life. Being Luna was challenging but rewarding, and having Theron by my side made everything better. A sharp knock interrupted our moment. Mara entered, looking troubled. Forgive the intrusion, Alpha King, Luna, but there's a woman at the gates demanding to see you both. She says it's urgent. My blood and ran cold. The Luna's past. Who is she? She won't give her name, but she's from the Crescent Moon Pack. Theron's arms tightened around me protectively. Send her away. Wait, I touched his hand. If it's about my past, I should face it. No more running from who I was. Elara, please, whatever this is, I need to handle it, as your Luna. He studied my face, then sighed. Fine, but I'm staying with you. And if she upsets you, she's gone. The woman who entered our chambers was elderly, with silver hair and kind eyes. She looked vaguely familiar, but I couldn't place her. Luna Elara, she said, bowing deeply. Thank you for seeing me. My name is Margot. I was the healer at Crescent Moon Pack before I retired 3 years ago. Recognition clicked. I remember you. You were always kind to me. I tried to be. She wrung her hands nervously. Luna, I've come because I can't live with my silence anymore. There's something you need to know about your time at Crescent Moon. About why you couldn't conceive. Theron went very still beside me. What do you mean? I mean that it wasn't natural. It wasn't stress or bad luck. Margot's voice shook. Alpha Garrett was poisoning her. Small doses of moonsbane root mixed into her tea every day. Just enough to suppress her fertility without being detected. The world tilted. What? He wanted a barren mate, Margot continued, tears streaming down her wrinkled face. I overheard him talking to Rebecca. They'd been having an affair for years, but pack law wouldn't let him reject you without cause. So they concocted a plan, poison you to make you infertile, then reject you for failing to produce an heir. That way, he could claim Rebecca as his Luna without violating pack law. Rage exploded through me, hot and violent. Beside me, Theron had gone deadly still. The calm before the storm. You're telling me, his voice was arctic, that Alpha Garrett deliberately poisoned my mate? Made her believe she was defective? Broke her heart and her spirit over a lie? Yes. Margot bowed her head. And I knew. I suspected at least. But I was too coward to speak up, too afraid of Garrett's wrath. I've regretted it every day since. When I heard the Luna was pregnant, thriving under your care, I knew I had to come forward, even if it's too late. My hands were shaking. 3 years. 3 years of shame and self-hatred, of believing I was broken, of being rejected and traded away, all because of deliberate cruelty. Why? I whispered. Why would he do that to me? Because you were kind, Margot said sadly. Because the pack loved you, and he was jealous. And because Rebecca wanted to be Luna, and you were in the way. They're both selfish, cruel wolves who deserve everything that's coming to them. Theron stood abruptly, and the power rolling off him made everyone in the room instinctively submit. Thank you for coming forward, Margot. You'll be granted sanctuary here if you wish it. But right now, I need you to leave because I'm about to do something very alpha, and my mate doesn't need to see me lose control. After Margot left, he turned to me, and I saw the storm raging in his eyes. I'm going to kill him, he said flatly. I'm going to challenge Garrett to an alpha duel and tear him apart for what he did to you. Theron, he poisoned you, Elara. He made you suffer for years. He traded you away as damaged goods, knowing full well it was his fault. And then he sat in my throne room and pretended to apologize. His hands were trembling with barely contained rage. That's not something I can let stand. Part of me, the part that had suffered so much, wanted exactly that. Wanted to see Garrett pay for every moment of pain he'd caused. But I was a Luna now, and a Luna had to think about the bigger picture. If you challenge him, I said carefully, you'll win. Everyone knows that. But what message does it send? That the Alpha King will destroy anyone who wrongs his mate? That we rule through fear rather than justice? He deserves fear. He deserves pain. Yes, he does. I took his hands, feeling them shake. But there are other ways to make him pay. Ways that don't start a war, or make you into a monster. Ways that actually serve justice. He stared at me for a long moment, then pulled me into his arms. Carefully, because of my belly. You're too good. Too forgiving. I'm not forgiving him. I'm choosing not to let his cruelty turn us into something we're not. I pulled back to meet his eyes. Call a council tribunal. Bring charges against him for poisoning a pack member. Me. Let the council strip him of his alpha title. Let him live the rest of his life as a rogue, knowing he destroyed everything because of his own cruelty. A fate worse than death for an alpha. Exactly. Understanding dawned in his eyes, followed by admiration. You're brilliant and terrifying. Remind me never to cross you. You're my mate. I'd never hurt you. I kissed him softly. But Garrett? He hurt me, broke me, made me believe I was worthless. So yes, I want him to pay. I just want to do it the right way. The Luna way. He pressed his forehead to mine. I love you, and I'm so damn proud of who you've become. I love you, too. Now let's go destroy my ex-mate's life through proper legal channels. He laughed, the sound mixing with a growl. That's my Luna. The council tribunal took 3 weeks to convene. Garrett fought the charges, of course, claiming Margot was lying. But then other witnesses came forward. Servants who'd seen Rebecca adding things to my tea, pack members who'd overheard discussions about the plan. The evidence was overwhelming. Alpha Garrett Thorne, the High Elder pronounced, you stand convicted of deliberately poisoning a pack member for personal gain, of conspiracy to commit fraud, and of abuse of alpha power. The council strips you of your alpha title, your pack, and all associated privileges. You are hereby declared rogue and banished from all pack territories. So it is spoken, so shall it be. I watched from Theron's side as Garrett was marched out, no longer an alpha, no longer powerful, just a disgraced wolf who'd destroyed his own life through cruelty and pride. Rebecca had already fled, taking her pups and disappearing into rogue territory. The Crescent Moon Pack had elected a new alpha, a fair, kind wolf who'd promised reforms. Justice had been served. How do you feel? Theron asked as we walked back to our chambers. Free, I said honestly. For the first time in years, I feel completely free. Garrett can't hurt me anymore. His lies can't touch me. I'm exactly who I was always meant to be. Your Luna, carrying our pup, ruling at your side. My perfect mate. He kissed my temple. Let's go home and celebrate. Our pup needs to know that justice was served, and their mother is the strongest wolf I've ever known. As we entered our chambers, I felt our pup kick, strong and healthy, a life created from love rather than lies. I'd been traded away as damaged goods, poisoned and broken, and told I was worthless. But I'd survived. I'd healed. I'd found my true mate and become a Luna who led with wisdom and strength. And that was the best revenge of all. Chapter 7. The Birth Elara. The pains started at midnight. I woke with a gasp, my hand flying to my stomach. Beside me, Theron was instantly alert. What's wrong? Is it the pup? I think it's time. His eyes went wide. Then he was moving, jumping out of bed, pulling on clothes while simultaneously trying to help me up. Okay, this is happening. We planned for this. Cordelia! Someone get Cordelia! Despite the pain, I smiled. The powerful Alpha King was absolutely panicking. Theron, breathe. I am breathing. You breathe. He cupped my face. Are you okay? Does it hurt? Of course it hurts, stupid question. What do you need? Tell me what you need. I need you to calm down before you pass out. I gripped his hands. And I need you to get me to the birthing room. Can you do that? He nodded frantically, then swept me into his arms with excessive care. I've got you, my love. The next 8 hours were a blur of pain, exhaustion, and Theron being simultaneously the most helpful and most anxious birth partner imaginable. He held my hand through every contraction, let me squeeze hard enough to hurt, whispered encouragements and promises of love. You're doing amazing, he said for the 100th time, brushing sweat-dampened hair from my face. So strong, so brave. Our pup is lucky to have you as a mother. Tell that to the pup, I growled through another contraction. This baby has clearly inherited your size. He winced. I'm sorry? You should be. But when I finally heard that first cry, strong and healthy and absolutely perfect, all the pain vanished. It's a girl, Cordelia announced, placing our daughter on my chest. A beautiful, healthy girl? She was perfect. Tiny and pink with a tuft of dark hair, and her father's storm-gray eyes already trying to focus on my face. My heart felt like it might burst from love. Hello, little one, I whispered, tears streaming down my face. I'm your mama. Theron was beside me, his own eyes wet as he stared at our daughter in wonder. She's perfect. Elara, she's absolutely perfect. Look at her. She has your nose. And your scowl. I laughed through my tears. She's already frowning at us. That's my girl. He pressed a gentle kiss to our daughter's forehead, then to my lips. Thank you. Thank you for her, for being strong enough to bring her into this world. You're amazing. We did it together. I leaned into him, exhausted but happier than I'd ever been. What should we name her? We'd discussed names for months, never quite deciding. But now, looking at our daughter, the answer was obvious. Luna, I said softly. After the moon goddess who brought us together. Luna Ashbourne. Perfect, Theron agreed. Our little Luna. The announcement went out at dawn. The Alpha King and Luna had welcomed a healthy daughter. The kingdom celebrated with howls and bonfires, rejoicing in the birth of the heir. But in our chambers, we ignored the festivities, focused entirely on our perfect pup. I can't believe she's real, Theron said, cradling Luna with the careful reverence of a first-time father. That we created her, that she's ours. She's definitely real, and she definitely inherited your lungs. Listen to those demands. Luna was fussing, clearly hungry. He handed her to me gently, watching as I began to nurse her. I never thought I'd have this. A mate, a family, complete happiness. I'd given up hope. So had I. I looked up at him. I thought I was broken, remember? That I'd never have pups, never be a mother. And look at you now. His voice was thick with emotion. The strongest Luna the kingdom has ever seen, holding our perfect daughter. Garrett was wrong about you. Everyone who ever doubted you was wrong. They were, I agreed. But you know what? I'm glad for the hard times. Because they made me appreciate this so much more. I know what it's like to be rejected, to be told I'm worthless. I'll never take this, any of this, for granted. Neither will I. He kissed my forehead. I love you, Elara Ashbourne. My mate, my Luna, the mother of my child. I will spend every day of our lives making sure you know how valued you are. I love you too. And Theron? I smiled at him. Thank you for choosing me. Even when you thought I couldn't give you this, you chose me anyway. That's what made all the difference. I'll always choose you, he promised. In every life, every world, every reality. You're it for me. Luna let out a satisfied sigh, falling asleep in my arms. Our perfect, healthy, wanted pup. The daughter I'd been told I'd never have. She's going to rule this kingdom someday, Theron said softly. Our strong, beautiful girl. She'll be the best Luna they've ever seen. She will, I agreed. Because she'll be raised by parents who love each other, who fought for their happiness, who know that a wolf's worth isn't measured by what they can give, but by who they are. The perfect legacy. He wrapped his arms around us both. His family, his world. I couldn't ask for anything more. Neither could I, because I'd been traded away as damaged goods, poisoned and broken and rejected. But I'd survived. I'd healed. I'd found my true mate and become a Luna who led with wisdom and love. And now I was a mother. Sometimes the hardest journeys lead to the most beautiful destinations. Sometimes what others see as flaws become our greatest strengths. And sometimes the Alpha King chooses you anyway. That made all the difference. Epilogue. 5 years later, Elara. Mama, watch me shift. I looked up from my paperwork to see Luna, now 5 and absolutely fearless, preparing to attempt her first full shift. She'd been partially shifting for months, but this was different. Are you sure you're ready, sweetheart? I asked, setting down my pen. You don't have to rush. I'm an alpha princess. Of course I'm ready. She puffed out her chest proudly. Daddy says I'm the strongest pup he's ever seen. Your daddy is biased. But I was smiling. Luna had indeed inherited both Theron's strength and my determination. A formidable combination. Okay, show me what you've got. She closed her eyes in concentration, and I watched with pride as she successfully completed her first full shift. The wolf that stood before me was small but perfectly formed, with gray fur and bright, intelligent eyes. Beautiful? I applauded. Oh, Luna, you did it perfectly. She shifted back, throwing herself into my arms. Did you see, Mama? I'm a real wolf now. You've always been a real wolf, baby. But yes, that was amazing. Wait until I show Daddy and baby brother. She squirmed out of my arms, running toward the door. Theo, come see. My second pup, Theodore, 3 years old and the splitting image of his father, came toddling into my office. Behind him, Theron appeared, our youngest daughter Sarah cradled in his arms. At 6 months, she was already showing signs of being just as spirited as her siblings. Someone's excited, Theron said, grinning. Let me guess, Luna achieved her first full shift? She did. Mama said it was perfect. Luna bounced around her father's legs. Daddy, did you know I would? Did your wolf tell you? My wolf is very proud, he confirmed, kneeling down to kiss her forehead. Just like I am. My strong, beautiful daughter. I watched them interact, my heart full to bursting. 3 pups. 3 perfect, healthy, wanted pups. The children I'd been told I'd never have. Mama sad? Theo toddled over, his little face concerned. He was an empathetic child, always sensing emotions. No, baby. Mama's happy. I picked him up, cuddling him close. So very, very happy. That evening, after the pups were asleep, Theron and I stood on the balcony overlooking the kingdom. 5 years of ruling together had only strengthened our bond. We were a true partnership. He handled military and security while I focused on social welfare and justice. Together, we'd made the Northern Kingdom stronger and fairer than ever. Do you remember the first time we stood here? Theron asked, pulling me back against his chest. You'd just arrived as a servant, terrified and broken. And I was too much of a coward to claim you immediately. We were both afraid, I corrected. Both scarred by our pasts, both uncertain if happiness was even possible. And now look at us. His hand splayed across my stomach. Not pregnant, but we'd talked about maybe having one more pup eventually. 3 beautiful pups, a kingdom that's thriving, and a love that grows stronger every day. I got a letter from Margot today, I said. She's doing well in the sanctuary we set up for retired healers. She says she's finally found peace, knowing she did the right thing by coming forward. As she should. Her testimony changed everything. He nuzzled my neck. Sometimes I still think about what Garrett did to you, and I want to. Don't. I turned in his arms. He's gone, living as a rogue, his reputation destroyed. That's punishment enough. And focusing on him takes away from this, from us, from our family, from the beautiful life we've built. You're right. He kissed me softly. You're always right. Not always, but I'm learning. I smiled up at him. Being Luna has taught me a lot. About leading with compassion, but also with strength. About knowing my worth regardless of what others think. About being the most incredible woman I've ever known, he interrupted. About being a perfect mate, an amazing mother, and a Luna that the kingdom would follow anywhere. You're biased. Absolutely. He kissed me again, deeper this time. But I'm also right. Elara, you've transformed this kingdom. You've shown them that true strength isn't about being perfect. It's about surviving the imperfect and coming out stronger. We did it together. We did. And we'll keep doing it together for however many decades the moon goddess grants us. His arms tightened around me. I love you. More now than the day we met. And I'll love you more tomorrow than today. I love you too, my Alpha King, my mate, my everything. Inside I heard Luna's voice. Mama? Daddy? Theo drew on the walls again. That's our cue, Theron sighed, but he was smiling. As we headed back inside to deal with whatever chaos our pups had created, I reflected on how far I'd come. From a broken, rejected she-wolf who thought she was worthless, to a Luna, a mother, a woman who knew her own strength. The journey hadn't been easy, but the hardest paths often lead to the most beautiful destinations. And this destination, surrounded by love, leading with purpose, knowing I was exactly where I was meant to be, was more beautiful than any dream I'd ever dared to have. I'd been traded away as infertile, worthless, damaged goods, but the Alpha King had chosen me anyway, and together we'd built something magnificent. Closing, and there we have it, my lovely listeners. From servant to Luna, from broken to whole, Elara's journey reminds us that our worth is never defined by what others think of us. I hope this story touched your heart. The message that you are valuable, that you are enough, regardless of what limitations others try to place on you. That's something we all need to hear sometimes. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me, did you cry when Elara discovered she'd been poisoned? I definitely did while writing it. What was your favorite moment? Team Theron from the start, or did he need to earn your trust? Would you like to hear the stories of Elara and Theron's pups when they grow up? And speaking of future stories, next week we have something absolutely delicious planned. It's called The Alpha's Contract Bride, and oh my goodness, the fake marriage to real love pipeline is strong with this one. Think forced proximity, only one bed, and an alpha who's absolutely terrible at pretending he doesn't care about his contracted mate. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this story with anyone who needs a reminder that they are valuable exactly as they are. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more of these beautiful love stories. Until next time, my lovely listeners, remember, you are not broken. You are not worthless. You are exactly who you were meant to be, and somewhere out there, your perfect mate is waiting to see your true value. This is Dora, signing off from Dora's Romance Audiobooks. Sweet dreams, and may you always know your worth.